I mean, what he wants is he wants it to go away. He doesn't want to face the felony charges. He says that, right?
And that's,
Well, no, that's what he says, right? Or calls the case, people, state of Michigan versus Michael Kyle.
Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Morgan Barroso on behalf of the people.
and Matthew Mansour, Assistant Public Defender, with and on behalf of Mr. Kyle, who appears to my left. Mr. Kyle, can you state your name for the record, please?
Michael Kyle. All right, he can have a seat because.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Let me go ahead, Mr. Barroso.
Your Honor, I primarily am going to be relying on the motion. I do just want to note, after having received and reviewed defense's response, there seems to be two focuses there. One, that Mr. Kyle did not engage in any actual wrongdoing, and two, that any potential wrongdoing that may or may not have happened did not actually lead to the victim failing to appear. There was one statement in the first call where the grandmother had patched in the victim, where she said specifically, I know, and I still don't think there's a reason to put your hands on somebody though. And Mr. Kyle responds back, I did put my hands on you like that. And if I did, I apologize. To me, this is really the heart of the issue, is that he is persistent and consistent in telling her that she needs to call and tell them that nothing happened and that he didn't choke her. And this is the statement where she says, no matter what, that's not a reason to put your hands on somebody. And he says, I didn't. And if I did, I'm sorry. That's the heart of this. And if we're talking about wrongdoing, the content of this call is a continuation of the wrongdoing that we see in the initial incident, where he takes the phone from the victim and keeps her from calling 911 to call his grandmother, where she tells him not to call. She tells the victim not to call 911. This is a pattern of behavior that we're seeing continue on after his arrest and arraignment.
But isn't there even a more concrete statement where there's an indication where the defendant is talking to the grandmother about communicating to the victim to change her story?
Correct. And I think that goes beyond the direct contact with the defendant and the victim, and it relates to ongoing contact that has continued outside of the jail between the defendant's family and the victim. She is so in fear that she did not appear for preliminary exam, and I am concerned that she won't appear again, which is why we filed this motion, because of the defendant's persistence and pattern of behavior exhibited in the initial incident and then continuing in the calls.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. And thank you for allowing us to have this hearing. My objective today is to show this court that the people cannot establish their burden even by a preponderance of the evidence. Just to clarify what the people have just mentioned on the statement that was just said about regarding putting their hands on someone. Your Honor, we're here for a forfeiture of wrongdoing motion. And if we finish that, the context of that statement, he also said, I did not, and if I did. So I just wanted to put that before I forget. I believe all three elements are in our favor, and I will use the standards set forth in.
Even if done through a third party?
Your Honor, I will address that.
No, you will address what I ask you to address, even if through a third party?
Even if through a third party, the elements?
If there's a statement made by the defendant to a relative, I believe a grandmother in this case, or his mother, indicating between the two of them to tell the victim to change her story. And then an acknowledgement that somebody will. why isn't that a wrongdoing?
Your Honor, that will go towards the clarity, the intent, and the purpose behind why to change her statement. And I was going to go through this element by element. And that question, the best response to that question is, if you go through the jail calls, which I'm sure you have, if you go through the jail calls, I'll just go through them now. In the jail call on March 26, 2024, in the motions at 8:25:55, Mr. Kyle called his grandmother, all right, and Miss Lazarski. And if you look at the jail call at 3:05 into the jail call, so did you tell them I choked you? This is a question towards the complaining witness. Miss Lazarski stated, I didn't say anything to them. Okay, at this point, there's confusion. There's mixed testimony that we are trying to clear up. Mr. Kyle then followed, can you call up there and change your statement? Can you call up there and change your statement because they are saying that. They are saying that. Then she responds, I'll call them and talk to them. So her intent is clear. Okay, and then grandma responds, they hear everything on this phone. So they are, and when you make phone calls from jail, we all know it says this is a recorded line. Mr. Kyle responds that it's not about them. They told me, you said that I choked you. They're telling me that you're saying I choked you. She responds, again, I'll call up there and talk to them. Mr. Kyle says, is that what you're trying to do? Question. Or do you just want me to leave you alone? Question. I get out, is that what it is? 4 questions. Answer to that question is, Your Honor, he's not calling his grandma to say, oh, fix her statement because she, her statement is concrete. Because what Miss Lazarski is telling him is she's saying this never happened. I never told them any of this. So, and I highlighted in another call. On March 26th, the day before the arraignment, at 18:39:58, at 9 minutes and 47 seconds into that call, Mr. Kyle asks her, you said you had said what? And Miss Lazarski replied, that it's not how it went, and that I wasn't, and I didn't say any of that, and that I didn't want to press charges or move forward. Mr. Kyle replied, and I love that. Mr. Kyle replied, I mean, if that's how you feel, then of course go along with it. But you know, when I talk to you, here we go, it's completely different from what they are saying. So that is my response to that.
Why wouldn't that manifest an intent of some type? I mean, what you're indicating to me is I'm supposed to garner some intent that it has to be something direct. I mean, why is he involved at all in the changing of what allegedly is said? Why is he doing that at all?
That's a great question, Your Honor.
It is.
And thank you for bringing that up. And the response to that would be, Mr. Kyle is facing potential felony charges. He's not been arraigned yet. He wants to know exactly what's going on with what the police report saying, what the complaining witness is saying. Again, the no contact is not set in place. So Mr. Kyle's liberty is at stake. So I don't see it to be unreasonable for a situation like what Mr. Kyle and the complaining witness have gone through allegedly, for Mr. Kyle to call immediately on the mother of his child, the complaining witness, to clarify what is going on.
But he goes beyond just what is going on, doesn't he?
I respectfully disagree, Your Honor. I don't think it goes beyond what is going on.
If he calls her and says, well, what's going on? This is what I hear. This is what you hear. Okay. But he does more than that. Doesn't he?
Your Honor, if I may.
Yes, go
He
ahead.
goes beyond asking for clarification. He makes explicit statements. He says to his grandmother, can you call her? I need her to change her statement. That's not a, can you ask her what happened? Can you ask her how she felt? Can you tell me what is going on? He says, can you call her though and tell her I'm on the phone so she can change my statement and I don't have to go through with felonies? Because I'm not even going to get out of jail until tomorrow. That's not a, can you tell me more? Or what's going on? I'm confused. That is explicit and direct and with intention. And it is exceedingly clear that this is a manipulation of the victim.
If that's how you feel, then go along with it. You are telling me you did not say any of that. So this isn't a, oh, well, go up to, let me call grandma and tell her to fix the statement. Fix your statement in regards to the truth is what's going on. If you are telling me you did not say that, but the police are saying you said that, then just tell the truth.
Counsel, but your argument, the court would never, well, would rarely be able to find that there's any intent to do anything other than try to clarify. I mean, because I mean, it seems to me the argument you're making is that it can't be the context or the sort of totality of all that's being said into maybe said to various parties regarding this to express some intent of the defendant regarding this particular case. But that as I hear your argument, it almost has to be some express statement on his part.
Your Honor,
The court to find that there's intent.
Your Honor, I believe, if I may, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I believe there needs to be, and I've sat in on a motion, forfeiture motion hearing in this honorable court just last week, and I loved the court's analysis because it took the context of the call, of that jail call, and obviously this is completely different facts, different circumstances, but the court in its analysis almost made a spectrum of the context of the jail calls. It was the spectrum almost being don't show up, and if so, lie. And this was another case, not has to do with this. This case here that we're here for, I believe, is almost opposite of that. And that don't show up and lie is egregious. It's undue influence. It's manipulation. It's obstruction. It's pressure.
But what would be the ramifications if she doesn't change her story?
Your Honor, that's something for the court.
No. I'm saying as between the two of them, what would be the ramifications of her not changing her story?
Well, Your Honor, technically she did change her story. She called up here.
Okay.
So if we're going by the police report, correct. The ramifications of her not changing her story is detrimental. But I'm sorry. But if we're going off of her statement after this alleged,
Counsel, what I hear you saying is that, and all of these are very different in terms of what is said, is that somehow or another it has to be so direct that there can't be sort of this manifest, one couldn't conclude that there's some intent to not have this person testify or to have them even testify falsely.
Your Honor, I believe it's the intent for the complaining witness not to testify, or if to testify falsely, or make the complaining witness unavailable whatsoever to the court. Ms. Lazarski, the complaining witness, I don't know how much clearer she could make it. She could state it in the jail calls. I don't. I
mean, what he wants is he wants it to go away. He doesn't want to face the felony charges. He says that, right?
And that's,
well, no, that's what he says, right?
Of course, yes.
And then says in essence, you need to change your story so that doesn't happen, right?
I don't know.
Well, what do you know? I mean, what do you mean you don't know?
No, I'm not saying I don't agree with that, Your Honor.
What do you think he's saying then?
What I'm saying is he is trying to have her testify to the truth. If she is telling, Your Honor, if somebody's telling me something,
then why even bring up the felony charges?
Because he's facing felonies, Your Honor.
But he says, I don't want to face the felony charge. I don't want to be here on a felony. Why do you think he says that?
Your Honor, that's what I'm sure many people would say.
Why do you think this defendant said that in the context of what else he was saying?
Because he's saying this because she is telling him that is not what went down. That is not what is said. So why are they saying, why does the police report say that it does say this? Because now I'm facing felony charges.
Is that really what you think he said?
Your Honor, if I may, it's not just I want these felony charges to go away. It's beyond that. It's if they don't go away, I'm going to be here for a really long time. I'm not going to be able to talk to you or our kid. I'm not going to be able to be around. It's holding over not just the bad, but also the good. But then you have in the back of the victim's mind the fact that she just got strangled. And so you're dangling a carrot and the potential of the negative as well. And he's very explicit about the potential consequences. I'm looking at felonies. If you don't change your story, you want me to leave you alone? Or they probably won't work out. Like I'm gonna have to stay in here until my court date. It could be weeks, months, however long. And if we're talking about him wanting to get to the truth, when she says explicitly, I still don't think there's a reason to put your hands on somebody. That is a candid statement that she made. And he discounts that. He immediately says no. She tells him the truth. He makes an unsolicited, excited utterance that he put his hands on her, and he immediately brushes that aside because it's not what he wanted to hear in that moment. It's not what he wanted to have said on the recorded line. And when he's faced with the truth, he goes right back down the line of dangling the carrot. If you change your story, I'm gonna get out soon, not in weeks, months, however long. Can you please do that and let them know that I never put my hands on you?
Mr. Ransor,
Yes, Your Honor.
you talked about this spectrum that the court had brought up in the other.
Yes.
Why are you saying this one falls closer to the other end?
Your Honor, I'm saying that because he's not, to my knowledge, he has not said one time, don't show up to court. Okay. Then.
But it doesn't always come through that way.
Okay, that's correct, Your Honor. That's correct. Also, he's telling her to testify to what the truth is. Your Honor,
He's telling her to change her story and say that. Right?
Your Honor, she is saying that is not how it went. And that I wasn't. And quote unquote, this is her saying this. I didn't say any of that.
What do you expect her to say?
The truth to a police officer?
No, to him. What do you expect her to say?
Your Honor, this is the same complaining witness who is putting money on his phone to tell him, call me. This is the same complaining witness saying, I love you, back and forth. This is the same complaining witness that he shares a child with. I don't want any of this. These statements are vital to show exactly why she called the police to say she wants the charges dropped, why she didn't show up to the preliminary exam, and why she will not show up on the 21st. Because I don't want any of this. That's all I'm trying to show the court is this is as clear as this is her own words. And it's in the jail.
That I don't want any of this. And so none of that you're indicating to the court is prompted by the defendant's contact with her, the defendant's insistence to his mother or to the grandma that you need to contact her to change her story. None of that has any bearing on her whatsoever, Mr. Rinser?
How can we say it does against him?
How can you say it doesn't? I mean, if and I realize that it's by preponderance of the evidence, but what I've got is I've got someone who makes a statement about putting your hands on someone, right? Then all of a sudden, I confront you with what they say you said. She basically is saying she doesn't want any of this. Well, that would be true for a lot of domestic violence victims, that they don't want any of it. They probably don't want a whole lot of things.
And that I didn't say any of it too, Your Honor.
Right. What's she supposed to say, Mr. Mansour? Why? See, this is part of the problem here is your client shouldn't have been contacted you in the first place. Shouldn't have been contacted you in the first place and shouldn't have been trying to contact through third parties to then tell third parties to tell her something. And now, when confronted with it, and he's smart enough to realize, I'm not going to say those things like don't show up, don't whatever. That's why the court has to listen to the context of everything that's going on that the court has to determine whether or not there's some intent on this defendant to stop this victim from testifying. So while you might draw that one conclusion, isn't it equally plausible that the opposite conclusion has to be drawn?
Of course, absolutely. Absolutely, Your Honor. But I'm trying to persuade or show this court that it's not, and if we look at People versus Burns, if we look at the fact pattern there, the facts in that fact pattern, the defendant tells the complaining witness not to tell, don't tell anyone or she will get in trouble. And the court in that case ruled that there was no specific intent for the complaining witness to not be or to be unavailable for court. They were correct on element one. Was it wrongdoing? Yeah. Not to tell, don't tell anyone or she will get in trouble. Yes, that's wrong. But they ruled elements 2 and 3, specific intent to not show. It's a case-by-case basis, and it improperly assumes the defendant's knowledge.
That they not show?
Had the defendant intended to have the complaining witness not show.
But your whole argument on those points rest on the exact verbiage outside of context and outside of what may be the reality of what's going on. Does it not?
Yes, it's case-by-case basis, it's different facts, different things said, different circumstances. Absolutely. I want to point to the court that,
why would he need her to change her story?
Because if the police report,
why not just go up and say, okay, if that's not it, then you need to go to the hearing and you need to tell everybody that. Why not just say that?
Well, Your Honor, this is a fresh matter. He made the calls before his arraignment, wanted to speak with his.
Why the pressure on her, since you don't want to answer that question, why the pressure on her to, through grandma, pressure her to change her story? If I've had a conversation with you regarding you didn't do this, you didn't say this, you didn't do whatever, why am I using a third party to also reinforce that?
I don't know what his phone minutes situation was at the time. I'm not.
What's that mean?
I don't know if he could reach her and find out, check the status on whether she did it or not. I don't know if she has transportation. I don't know if she has he probably doesn't know if she.
That's not my question. My question is, why does he use a third party to also try to exude, at least as the court sees it, that pressure for her to change her story? If, as you portray it, they're having this wonderful conversation and she's saying, no, basically, I didn't say all of that. They've all got it wrong. They've got it this. And that they come to some miracle understanding that she should then contact them to change her story. Why tell a third person they need to basically reinforce that to her? Why do that?
Thank you, Your Honor. Because Mr. Kyle is sitting in jail and has no idea what's going on. And he would like to check the status on whether the statement has been corrected to its truth.
Why didn't we just ask her?
He did, Your Honor.
But so you're not answering my question. Why do I use a third party to do that if I've had this meeting of the minds that you got it wrong to the police, and so therefore now you're going to make everything better by changing your story? If that's the case, why have somebody else have to reinforce that? If you just need to tell the truth, why do I have to have somebody else call and say?
Yeah, Your Honor, that's, it's a great question, and I will answer.
I'd like a great answer.
And my answer is to check the status on whether she did or not. And mind.
But he didn't ask the person, check on whether or not she did.
Your Honor, I believe in one of the jail calls. Did you talk to Rachel? Did she manage to go up there along, I'm paraphrasing this, but
She needs to change her story. Operative words.
not because it's,
You need to tell her to change her story, basically.
because if she does not,
Is that really checking on status, counsel?
Your Honor, also,
Is that really checking on status?
I can't tell you exactly why.
That's your argument. Your argument to me is that he's checking on the status. Is that checking on the status to you?
It can be, Your Honor, if he's,
Seriously? That's checking on status?
did you talk to Rachel?
Go ahead with the rest of your argument.
All right, in regards to that as well, his grandma, his mother, all are in communications with Rachel. They, in regards to their child, they've said it many times in the jail calls. We're calling to check up on the child, And there was statements in a lot of those jail calls where the mother herself, this is between you guys. All I care about is the baby. So, I mean, I'm sorry, I can't give you a pinpoint answer on why he called the grandma to see the status, or sorry, to ask if she's talked to Rachel, but those are the circumstances.
Anything else?
Your Honor, I just want to harp on the fact that the language, the demeanor, and the motive behind those jail calls, or in context of those jail calls, was not to procure unavailability. Because not once did he say, don't show up. Not once did he say, lie. Okay, the motive was to correctly testify. So I don't believe any of these elements are met. None of the three, due to those reasons. If he was telling her, hey, you got to go up there and tell him I didn't do any of that. Tell him make something up, lie, don't show up. No, the jail calls. What did you say when you got up there? That I didn't do anything. Okay.
So you really think it has to be that direct?
It's by a preponderance of the evidence.
No, but do you think the examples that you give are certainly the most egregious of circumstances? My question to you is, are you indicating to the court that it always has to be that direct, that there can't be context to what's being said?
Your Honor, that is exactly what I'm saying. In our favor, though, the context of those statements, does it have to be that direct? No, it could be many different ways. We look at People versus Jones. People versus Jones, in that case, there was the facts were the defendant was involved in a gang, and the complaining witness didn't testify because of the repercussions of testifying in a gang. Or People versus Giles, where the defendant made the complaining witness unavailable. The complaining witness she's available. She's available. She just does not want to proceed. She does not want to move forward. She said it. And so, no, it's not that direct. There's context to it. It's case by case basis. And if you look at everything that is going on, I don't know. I don't know where he said don't show up. I don't know where he said don't lie.
Hang on, counsel. That's precisely what I'm asking you. You keep coming back to that. And I'm asking, does it have to be that direct? You tell me it doesn't have to be, and then you proceed to argue that. So I'm unclear where you're coming from. Well, my question to you is, there are ways of telling people not to show up or placing them in a difficult position where they don't, which would be tantamount to saying don't show up. By way of example, if the court draws the conclusion that he's asking her to change the story, that she then tries to change the story, but it doesn't change the posture of the people in proceeding, she's now caught. Because now she has to show up and lie or just not show up at all. And you don't think that one through that series of events could reasonably draw that that's what the defendant's intent was? That if it works, it's gone. I'm out. But if it doesn't work and they don't get rid of it, then you got to lie or you got to do whatever. I placed you into an impossible circumstance. Why wouldn't that be tantamount to causing the unavailability of the complainant and have reasonably been what he desired to occur?
Your Honor, could it not be her own choice to not show up? Could it not be the fact that she does not want to proceed on this? And it could also be due to the fact that what was said was out of context. There was no indication of.
If her choice is a voluntary one, then maybe. The problem that you have is you've got all of this, which would lead the court to the conclusion that if she doesn't show, that's not voluntary on her part.
Your Honor, the court here has revoked Mr. Kyle's phone privileges.
Because he violated bond.
That's yes. We're not objecting to that, Your Honor.
Well, you can object all you want. He violated bond.
You're 100% right.
I know.
Okay.
So what's the point of this?
Your Honor, his phone privileges were revoked on the 6th of April. The preliminary exam was on the 21st. She has had all that time, almost 2 weeks, with no contact. Nobody's spoken to her to make the decision.
Oh, no. That's not true.
You're right.
I know that's absolutely untrue. His contact comes through a third party.
Your Honor, I misspoke on that. I meant to say Mr. Kyle did not make any phone calls, obviously, because his phone privileges were revoked. However, Your Honor, I've said all I've needed to say in purposes of this argument, and I appreciate you taking the time and this court to allow me to make those arguments.
Thank you. Anything else from the people?
Nothing further.
Court in reviewing that and listen to the phone calls and giving context to those phone calls. The standard here being a preponderance of the evidence. The court is of the opinion that the context made to, let me say that. It would be, I guess, easier if defendants were just saying to victims, alleged victims, don't show up, don't testify, don't do that. If they use those exact words, these become simple analysis. So that would be easy. Or, if quite frankly, defendants would abide by the bond condition of no contact, then that would be easy, because then if they don't show up, it has nothing to do with, or would not possibly have anything to do with what the defendant did. But none of these, or very few of them, I should say, are that direct. They go through other mechanisms by which to have the victims either not appear or change their story, or in some way attempt to try to cause their unavailability. Clearly, his contact and the statements made are wrongdoing on his part. The court believes by preponderance of the evidence that the statements made, the context upon which they're made, the further contact with the grandmother directed to say things or continue to say things to reinforce things to this alleged victim. The court does believe that by preponderance of the evidence that was specifically intended to procure either her false testimony or her unavailability, should that not, or could she not stomach making the false, what may be considered false claims or changed claims. The question as to whether or not his engaging in that wrongdoing, and then whether or not it has caused, will cause the unavailability of this victim. It already has on one instance, and or caused her to take a course that it did. It may indeed on the May 21st cause that to happen. It certainly did on April 23rd. This court's belief is, having listened to everything. And so for those reasons, the court would grant the people's motion, and that the statements, if they are otherwise admissible under the Michigan court rules regarding evidence of the alleged acts of domestic violence, will be admitted through the proper witness, that typically being a police officer. So people's motion is granted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Were they able to clarify anything regarding Gates?
I don't have that.
Yeah, that's her. Are they? Okay. People's motion is granted. His exam is the
21st.
15 লাখ টাকা পেয়ে গেলেন, এরপর কি করবেন?
আমি নিজের নামে একটা রেস্টুরেন্ট ওপেন করতে চাই। এটা করতে পারবো, এটা করতে পারবো।
15 লক্ষ টাকায় রেস্টুরেন্ট হবে না তো?
8 বছর চাকরি করেছি মানবাধিকার সংস্থায়। চাকরি চলাকালীন আমি কোনো কিছু শিখতেও পারছিলাম না, এই বিষয়টা নিয়ে আগাতেও পারছিলাম না। সেজন্য আমি চাকরি ছেড়েছি, এটাতে আগাবো বলে। আমার রেসিপির নাম হলো ভেলভেটি কোকোয়া ক্রেভিং।
জান্নাত, কি করেন আপনি?
আমার একটা অনলাইন পেজ আছে যেখানে বাসায় ফুড বানিয়ে সেটা কি বলে সেল করি। কারিগরি প্রশিক্ষণ কেন্দ্র থেকে কয়েকটা বেকিং এবং কুকিংয়ের উপরে সার্টিফাইড কোর্স করেছি এবং বর্তমানে এখন ডিপ্লোমা কালিনারি ম্যানেজমেন্টের উপরে ডিপ্লোমা করছি।
কেন এত পড়াশোনা করেছেন কালিনারি নিয়ে?
নিজেকে একজন প্রফেশনাল শেফ হিসেবে দেখতে চাই।
যখন প্রফেশনাল শেফ হয়ে যাবেন, আমি লাস্ট 7 বছর ঈদে কখনো ছুটি নেইনি। সো ঈদ কমপ্লিটলি গন, হলিডেজ কমপ্লিটলি গন। ফ্যামিলি এটা রাজি হবে? ফ্যামিলি মানবে?
আমি 8 বছর চাকরি করেছি মানবাধিকার সংস্থায়। চাকরি চলাকালীন আমি কোনো কিছু শিখতেও পারছিলাম না, এই বিষয়টা নিয়ে আগাতেও পারছিলাম না। সেজন্য আমি চাকরি ছেড়েছি এটাতে আগাবো বলে। আর চাকরি যখন করেছি তখন আমার ছেলেকে আমার মা, আমার বোন ওরা হলো কি দেখাশোনা করেছে।
আপনার কেন মনে হচ্ছে যে সেরা রাঁধুনি সেই প্ল্যাটফর্ম যেটা আপনাকে শেফ হতে সাহায্য করবে?
যারা এই কালিনারি জগতে আসতে চায় তাদের জন্য একটা সেরা প্ল্যাটফর্ম হলো সেরা রাঁধুনি। সব কিছুর একটা শক্ত হাতের প্রয়োজন হয় কোনো কিছুতে সামনে আগিয়ে যেতে। তো আমার কাছে শক্ত হাত সেই সেরা রাঁধুনিটা।
শেফ আমরা কি করতে পারি বলেন?
নিয়ে যাই,
ওয়েটিং কার্ড দিয়ে
ওয়েটিং কার্ড দিয়ে দিচ্ছি।
4 বছরের অপেক্ষা।
কি নাম তোমার?
ফাতেমা খাতুন ঋতু।
কি বানিয়েছো আজকে?
ডেজার্ট বানিয়েছি হানি সানফ্লাওয়ার। আমি এখানে বাকলাভা করছি ক্রিম চিজ দিয়ে, যেখানে আমি ক্রিম চিজে ইউজ করেছি হানি।
সো দিস ইজ আ বাকলাভা।
বাকলাভা এবং চিজ,
আউটার লেয়ারটা বাকলাভার
এবং উপরে চিজ কেক,
চিজ কেক, এন্ড দেন দিস
দম চিকেন, আর ওইটা নান বানাইছি আমি।
এই দুটো রেসিপি থেকে যদি যে কোনো একটা সিলেক্ট করতে হয়, আমি যদি বলি আপনাকে আমি একটার জন্য মার্ক করব, সেটা কি হবে?
তাহলে বাকলাভা চিজ কেক।
কেন?
বাকলাভা আমার বেকিং খুব ভালো লাগে করতে।
কয়েকটি কুইজিনের নাম বলেন।
আচ্ছা, মানে আমি ইতালিয়ান, তারপর এইভাবে বলবো কি পাস্তা, তারপর পিৎজা। ইন্ডিয়ান কুইজিনের মধ্যে আসে বিরিয়ানি, তারপর হলো বিভিন্ন ধরনের রায়তা, রাবড়ি, এগুলা। আর টার্কিশ ডেজার্ট করেছি। টার্কিশ ডেজার্টে বাকলাভা তো আসেই। থাই কুইজিনে হলো টম ইয়াম স্যুপ আছে, তারপরে হলো থাই ফ্রাইড রাইস আছে। একটু
লেটস সে আমরা আপনাকে আজকে সিলেক্ট করলাম, আপনি শোতে এসে শো জিতে গিয়েছেন,
ওকে।
15 লাখ টাকা পেয়ে গেলেন, এরপর কি করবেন?
আমি নিজের নামে একটা রেস্টুরেন্ট ওপেন করতে চাই। এটা করতে পারবো, এটা করতে পারবো।
15 লক্ষ টাকায় রেস্টুরেন্ট হবে না তো?
যতটুকু হোক,
বাকিটা
ছোট হোক বা বড় হোক, যতটুকু হোক আমি করব।
যদি আজকে এখানে সুযোগ না পান তাহলে কি আপনার জার্নিটা থেমে যাবে?
না না না, অবশ্যই না, আমি আবার চেষ্টা করব।
আই লাইক দ্য স্পিরিট। আপনার ফুডের টেস্ট ভালো।
থ্যাংক ইউ।
এখন খুশি হতে পারেন। আপনাকে যখন 15 লাখ টাকা জিতেছেন, আপনি ইমাজিন করতে বলছে আপনি অনেক খুশি হয়ে গিয়েছিলেন।
না না, এমন কিছু না। ঢাকা অবধি যাই তখন হয়তো ইমাজিন করতে পারবো যে আমি অনেকটা একটা ধাপ হলেও এগিয়ে আসতে
ইমাজিন
পারছি।
করেন আপনি ওয়েটিং কার্ড পেয়ে গিয়েছেন।
হ্যাঁ, আচ্ছা,
পেয়ে গিয়েছেন।
সত্যি?
জি, চলে আসুন।
আমার মাঝে আমি সেরা রাঁধুনি।
Làm cho chú cá này uyển chuyển này, bơi lội. Với cái phần vây là cái màu cam nha. Mình đã tô xong cái phần vây ở đuôi nha. Mình đang tô cái phần vây của chú cá ở phần lưng nha. Mình tiếp tục tô cái phần vây ở chỗ phần dưới của đầu nè. Phần vây là rất là dài nhá.
ওয়াও মনে হয়, ভিজুয়ালি দেখতে অনেক সুন্দর হয়েছে।
হ্যাঁ, প্রেজেন্টেশনটা ভালো।
থ্যাংক ইউ।
ওয়েটিং কার্ড পেয়েছি। ঢাকা অডিশনের জন্য একটু টেনশন হচ্ছে নেক্সট রাউন্ডে আমি যেতে পারবো কিনা।
আমার মাঝে আমি সেরা রাধুনী।
সুরাইয়া পারভিন, কি বানিয়েছেন আপনি?
আমি একটি ডেজার্ট নিয়ে এসেছি আজকে, লেয়ার কার্ড ফ্যান্টাসি।
আমি জানি না টেস্ট কেমন, আমি জাস্ট আপনার পেকিংটা দেখেই ওয়াও মনে হয়। ডেজার্ট ছাড়া আপনি ইন্টারন্যাশনাল কুইজিন আর কি বানাতে পারেন?
থাই, চাইনিজটা পারি।
থাই আর চাইনিজ কুইজিনের মধ্যে পার্থক্যটা কি বলতে পারবেন?
কিছুটা কাছাকাছি, কারণ এই দুটার মধ্যে আপনার যেই জিনিস প্রোডাক্টগুলো আমরা ইউজ করি প্রায় একই রকম।
অনেকটা ডিফারেন্স আছে। থাই খুব ঝাল হয়, চাইনিজ অত ঝাল হয় না। আর থাইতে প্রচুর কোকোনাট ইউজ করে, চাইনিজে অত কোকোনাট ইউজ হয় না। এছাড়াও এরকম অনেক উদাহরণ আছে
জি
দুটো ফুডের মধ্যে।
জি,
সেরা রাঁধুনিতে কেন এসেছেন?
আমি মনে করি ম্যাম সেরা রাঁধুনি একটা হচ্ছে বিশাল বড় একটা প্ল্যাটফর্ম, যেখানে নিজেকে আমি উপস্থাপন করতে পারবো সবার সামনে, আমি আমার প্রতিভাকে দেখাতে পারবো। ফিউচারে আমার খুব ইচ্ছা নিজেকে একজন সফল উদ্যোক্তা হিসেবে তৈরি করা। আমি মনে করি সেরা রাঁধুনি আমাকে সেই প্ল্যাটফর্মটা আমাকে তৈরি করে দিবে।
আজকে যদি আমরা আপনাকে ওয়েটিং কার্ড না দিই তাহলে আপনার কেমন লাগবে?
ভালো খারাপ দুইটাই লাগবে। কার্ড পেলে ভালো লাগবে, না পেলে ইনশাল্লাহ পরের বার আরও ভালোভাবে চেষ্টা করে আসবো।
আপনি তো আমাদের আগের চ্যালেঞ্জেসগুলো দেখেছেন, অনেক ইন্টারন্যাশনাল, অনেক ফিউশন, অনেক ডিফারেন্ট টাইপ অফ চ্যালেঞ্জেস থাকে। সো আপনার মনে হয় আপনি রেডি?
ইয়েস, আমি রেডি।
তাহলে চলে আসেন, আপনাকে আমরা
চলে
একটা ওয়েটিং কার্ড দিতে চাচ্ছি।
থ্যাংক ইউ শেফ। ওয়েটিং কার্ড পেয়েছি, ভালো লাগছে। জাজরা আমার ফুড খেয়ে অনেক প্রশংসা করেছে। ঢাকা অডিশনের জন্য একটু টেনশন হচ্ছে নেক্সট রাউন্ডে আমি যেতে পারবো কিনা।
সীমানা যতই হোক দেয়ালে ঘেরা, এ আমারই মঞ্চ, জানি আমি সেরা।
আসসালামু আলাইকুম।
ওয়ালাইকুম সালাম।
আমি শারমিন সাবালিনা। আমি আজকে নিয়ে এসেছি পিনা কোলাডা পাইনাপেল কেক।
ভিজুয়ালি দেখতে অনেক সুন্দর হয়েছে।
হ্যাঁ, প্রেজেন্টেশনটা ভালো।
থ্যাংক ইউ। কি করেন? একাডেমিক পড়াশোনা শেষ করেছি আমি, আর বর্তমানে আমি কালিনারি আর্টসের উপরে ডিপ্লোমা করছি, আর হোমমেড একটা খাবারের বিজনেস আছে যেটা আমি আমাদের এলাকাতে রান করছি।
শামিন, আপনি কোকোনাট ইউজ করেছেন এখানে?
না শেফ।
পিনা কোলাডাতে কিন্তু কোকোনাট যায়। ইটস আ
জি।
মিক্সচার অফ পাইনঅ্যাপল এন্ড কোকোনাট।
কোকোনাট।
আমার কাছে মানে কেকের টেস্টটা বেশ ভালো লেগেছে।
আমার কাছেও কেকের টেস্টটা
Balance.
ভালো লেগেছে। ইটস নট টু সুইট, দেয়ার ইজ পাইনঅ্যাপল। when you call
Very
it,
juicy.
থ্যাংক ইউ ম্যাম।
আপনি এটা ছাড়া আর কি রান্না করতে পারেন? ঝাল খাবার কি রান্না করতে পারেন?
বিরিয়ানি, কাবাব, হচ্ছে মুঠি কাবাব, শামি কাবাব,
Internationally?
জালি কাবাব,
ইন্টারন্যাশনাল কোনো খাবার?
যেমন চাইনিজের মধ্যে ফ্রাইড রাইস, চিলি চিকেন, ওনথন, থাই স্যুপ, এগুলো সব পারি।
চাইনিজের মধ্যে তো থাই আসে না।
আপনি নার্ভাস কেন?
ভালো হচ্ছে না।
আমি জানি আপনি জানেন, বাট আপনি নার্ভাস কেন এত?
প্রথমবার আমার অডিশন তো সেই জন্য।
আগে কেন আসেন?
আগে আমি মানে গত সিজন আমি ভাবছিলাম যে দিব, তারপর ভাবলাম যে না, আমি একটু কাঁচা আছি, এখানে তো দেখি অনেক সব দক্ষ সবাই আসে, ওই জন্য আমি ভাবছিলাম একটু ভালো মতো শিখে তারপর যাই, সেই জন্য।
সো আপনার মনে হয় আপনি এবারের জন্য রেডি?
হ্যাঁ, আমার মনে হয় আমি রেডি আছি এবারের জন্য।
তাহলে আমরাও রেডি। এখন আপনাকে একটা ওয়েটিং কার্ড দেই।
থ্যাংক ইউ শেফ।
চমক দেখাতে
সেরা রাঁধুনির ওয়েটিং কার্ড পেয়েছি, আর আশা করছি গ্র্যান্ড অডিশনের জন্য সিলেক্ট হব ইনশাল্লাহ। এটা পেয়েছি, এটাতে অনেক খুশি লাগছে। ইনশাল্লাহ গ্র্যান্ড অডিশনের জন্য সিলেক্ট হলে আরও বেশি খুশি hব।
Hello, xin chào các bạn đến với kênh YouTube của mình nha. Hôm nay chúng mình sẽ cùng nhau tô màu bức tranh Một bông hoa mặt trời. Chúng mình cùng tô màu nha. Một bông hoa mặt trời, mình sẽ tô phần đôi môi nha, với cái màu đỏ nè. Đây là đôi môi nha. Với đôi môi là cái màu đỏ. Mình đã tô xong nha. Cái màu hồng. Cái màu hồng phấn mình sẽ tô hai bên má nha. Hai bên má bằng cái màu hồng phấn này. Mình đã tô xong một bên rồi nè.
আপনার রাইস যেটা জি খুব যে খারাপ হয়েছে সেটা না
On top of that, it is slightly overcooked.
আমার নাম প্রীতি ইসলাম। আমি আজকে কোকোনাট রাইস রান্না করেছি, কোকোনাট রাইস উইথ গ্রিল চিকেন অ্যান্ড কোরিয়ান্ডার সস, সাথে পামকিনের আরেকটা সস দিয়েছি। ডেজার্টে দিয়েছি বাহারি মোহনভোগ।
আপনার মানে এই যে রেসিপি জি সব কিছু মিলিয়ে কি মনে হয় সেরা রাঁধুনিতে পার্টিসিপেট করার জন্য এটা দিস ইজ বেস্ট রেসিপি?
জি, আমার কাছে মনে হয় যে এটা বেস্ট হবে।
প্রীতি, ফার্স্ট থিং আমি আপনাকে টেকনিক্যাল জিনিসটা বলি,
Yeah, sure.
ঠিক আছে? ইটস ভেরি ড্রাই। সেকেন্ড জিনিস হলো গিয়ে হোল রোস্ট ইজ নট দি আইডিয়াল থিং টু ডু ওয়েন ইউ আর সার্ভিং দিস অ্যাট আ রেস্টুরেন্ট অর এরকম একটা কুকিং শোতে। ইউ ডোন্ট এক্সপেক্ট দ্য জাজেস অর দ্য কাস্টমার এটাকে কেটে নেবে। অন টপ অফ দ্যাট ইট ইজ স্লাইটলি ওভারকুকড।
এখন একটু আমরা টেস্ট করে দেখি। আপনার রাইস যেটা জি খুব যে খারাপ হয়েছে সেটা না, ভালো,
থ্যাংক ইউ।
আর ডেজার্টটাও মাইল্ড, মানে মিষ্টির ব্যালেন্সটা ভালো আছে।
জি জি।
কিন্তু ব্যাপারটা হয় কি যে যখন আমরা অডিশনে আসি তখন এতগুলো জিনিস দিয়ে আসলে অডিশন না।
আমি
দরকার
এনেছি
ছিল
কারণ
না।
আমি হচ্ছে ফুল প্ল্যাটারটাই সার্ভ করতে
ঠিক
চেয়েছি।
আছে,
এটা আমার ইন্টেনশন।
এতগুলো না দিয়েও আপনি শুধু একটার উপর যদি ফোকাস দিতেন
জি জি।
তাও মনে হয় আপনার
আমি
বেস্ট হতো।
সবগুলোর উপরে সমান ফোকাস দিয়েছি। বাই মিস্টেকেনলি একটু ফল্ট হয়েছে হয়তো, কিন্তু আমি চেষ্টা করছি খুব যত্ন করে করার অ্যাকচুয়ালি।
আসলে যত্নের ছোঁয়া এখানে আছে আমি দেখতে পাচ্ছি, এবং রেসিপির মধ্যেও আমার কাছে ভিন্নতা লেগেছে, আর কিছু টেকনিক্যাল ফল্ট আছে। তো আমার মনে হয় ওইগুলো যদি একটু কারেকশন করা যায় তাহলে ইট ওয়াজ গুড।
প্রীতি, দ্য চিকেন হ্যাজ ফ্লেভার, চিকেনটা মজা, সসটাও মজা, রাইট? বাট বেসিকে প্রবলেম হয়ে গেছে। বেসিক ইজ আপনার কুকিংটাই তো ওভারকুকড।
আমাকে অ্যাকচুয়ালি পোলট্রি চুজ করতে হতো মেবি এই ক্ষেত্রে।
ফার্মের মুরগি ইউজ করলে মনে হয়
পোলট্রিটা
জি।
বেশি জুসি
অফ কোর্স
আমার এটা ফল্ট হয়েছে এটা আমি বুঝছি
প্রীতি আই থিঙ্ক ওভারঅল টেস্ট ভালো আছে অ্যান্ড আই থিঙ্ক ইটস আ গুড এফোর্ট উই ওয়ান্ট টু গিভ ইউ আ চান্স ঠিক আছে
থ্যাংক ইউ
ওয়েট করেন আসেন আপনাকে ওয়েটিং কার্ড দেওয়া হবে
আমার খুবই ভালো লাগছে যে আমি ওয়েটিং কার্ডটা পেয়ে গেছি আমি কিন্তু কনফিডেন্ট ছিলাম যে আমি ওয়েটিং কার্ডটা পাবো আর আমি এখন অপেক্ষায় আছি নেক্সট রাউন্ডে ঢাকা যাওয়ার জন্য আমি আশাবাদী যে আমি ঢাকা পর্যন্ত যেতে পারবো
chân thật và kiên nhẫn con mang theo gieo thiện lương muôn phương bằng cả trái tim thiên thần còn nhìn thấy khắp nơi mẹ ơi. Trên trời cao con rớt xuống đây khóc được làm em bé xíu của mẹ này dịu dàng mẹ cười đón thiên thần đáng yêu mẹ nhìn
Mình
con
đang tô bằng cái màu đỏ nha, một cái màu đỏ tươi rất là
mẹ dạy con hay
lộng lẫy cho chú công này
người tốt
với bộ lông dài.
mòn dối bao người mến yêu thương và bao dung mọi người bên con nhân đại khi con gặp khó khăn mẹ yêu ơi lời mẹ dạy con buồn khắc nhau yêu mẹ con yêu nhất trên đời này dành tặng mẹ yêu dấu thật nhiều cái ơn mẹ là thiên thần của con mẹ yêu ơi lời mẹ dạy con buồn khắc nhau chân thật và kiên nhẫn con mang theo gieo thiện lương muôn phương bằng cả trái tim thiên thần con thấy khắp nơi mẹ yêu ơi lời mẹ dạy con luôn khắc nhau yêu mẹ con yêu nhất trên đời này dạy tặng mẹ yêu dấu thật nhiều cái ơn mẹ là thiên thần của con mẹ ơi lời mẹ dạy con luôn khắc nhau chân thật và kiên nhẫn con mang theo gieo thiện lương muôn phương bằng cả trái tim thiên thần con nhìn thấy khắp
Mình đã tô xong cái phần đuôi là màu tím và màu đỏ nha. Mình sẽ tô đôi chân với cái màu nâu. Đây là cái màu nâu nha. Tới cái phần chân là cái màu nâu nè. Bộ lông dài, bộ đuôi dài lên nó sẽ che hết cả cái phần chân của chú công này nha. Mình sẽ tô phần lông trên bằng cái màu vàng. Vàng và cam kết hợp.